Tourists enjoying a day of sightseeing this past weekend. Tourists enjoying a day of sightseeing at Windsor Castle got more than they bargained for when a couple were caught having sex on the Queen's lawn at Windsor. I mean, come on. It is insane.
Why?
Why choose? Well, I know why, but I mean, why there?
Exactly. Why there of all the places?
Bizarre. Insane. We are, however, I'm glad to report, extremely privileged and honoured to have in the studio with us this morning. And I mean, it's a coup for us.
It is.
Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. Your Majesty, welcome to our humble studios.
Thank you, Daron. I must say that I've always wanted to come to Port Elizabeth, since my late father, King George, came here in 1947,
yes.
and just after the Great War,
yes.
bless his soul. Of course, I was much younger then, My grandsons had a lovely time here recently, didn't they?
Your Majesty, we have to ask the question.
Yes.
Obviously, we don't like to pry, but recent stories have surfaced about a couple misbehaving on your lawn.
Oh, yes, Carol. I shall explain. I was having my afternoon nap after tea, and I heard what I perceived to be some sort of wild animal, rustling and growling in the bushes. If my boy Charles was here, I'd ask him to listen out. With those big ears, he can hear a pin drop at about 100 yards.
I've seen those ears. Very impressive.
Yes. Well, we're being quite afraid, I asked Philip to pop over to the window to see what all the commotion was. And, well, he was very quiet for about 10 minutes or so, just watching carefully, and I thought I'd pop over too. And, my dear, what a sight to behold. I was shocked, but clearly not as shocked as my petunias. At first I thought the gentleman was helping the lady find her contact lenses on the ground,
Yes.
But then I realized I'd seen this before with my corgis, in full view of all and sundry. Fergie may enjoy that sort of thing, but not me.
Yes, but Your Majesty, it must have been a terrible, terrible shock.
Well, the year that Charles and Diana Spencer split, and Fergie was pictured sucking some billionaire's toe, I described that year as the annus horribilis. But let me tell you, this annus horribilis was far worse to behold. I shouted, "Pull up your trousers, young man!" And of course, Philip thought I was talking about him. But it's probably one of those Canadian Mounties. What they do for Queen and Country nowadays. And all those clicking annoying little Japanese tourists, with their big cameras. Of course, Philip's camera had a 20 times zoom.
I see. Yeah.
So we needed that big zoom to pinpoint the offending weaponry.
Your Majesty, perhaps we should... I'd like to take the opportunity to speak to you about something a little more English, if you don't mind. Are you enjoying some of the IPL cricket while you're in the country, Your Royal Highness?
Oh, this Indian... Oh, my. What absolute mayhem. I'm appalled. I'm appalled at the lack of decorum in those games, Daron.
You don't like them?
Firstly, the garish clothing. White is what it should be. The same as Wimbledon tennis. Keep it crisp and clean and dignified. I never quite understood this Bollywood thing, They were always happy as our devoted servants, India's come a long way since WW2. However, they've maintained they haven't quite maintained the dignity and the grandeur of those great colonial days.
Okay.
The colonies seem to have lapsed since we recently gave them independence from the empire. Taking our games and turning them into some sort of lurid, dancing, throbbing, gyrating orgy. Cricket should be a place where men are able to converse in a dignified manner, whilst the ladies sip tea dressed in pretty frocks. Not these half-naked dancing tots displayed at such games.
Well, I quite like the dancing. What do you think of the players?
Your Majesty. Your Majesty.
I beg your pardon?
What do you think of the players, Your Majesty?
My apologies, Your Highness.
Yeah. The players are disrespectful too, Daron. I can assure you, Ashwell Prince is no royal lineage at all. He's got absolutely no blue blood in him. And the less said about Kevin Peterson, the better. He might be called the so-called Englishman who still knows how to play the game, but there must be a reason that you blokes send him packing, don't you think?
Yes.
I tell you what it is. He's a rude man. A rude man. That's what he is. He's certainly not a gentleman. And I applaud you South Africans for having the foresight to be able to see his true measure. Manners maketh man. That's what I say. This used to be a gentleman's game, Carol. Where your word is your honour. Nowadays, you need a telephone to see if you're out or not. It's just not cricket. That's what I say.
I quite agree with you, Your Highness.
Yes, cricket should be played the way it was designed. 5-day games, scones and tea at regular intervals. And these days it's all ball bashing and wicket grabbing and over-excitement grappling. It's all over in 5 minutes, just like Philip and that chap on my lawn.
What eventually happened to that chap on your lawn, Your Majesty?
I got the guards to fetch him immediately and brought him to my chamber for a good spanking.
I'm reminded of the words of Paul Revere in this particular incident. The British are coming! The British are coming!